Okay. Welcome, YouTube. I'm gonna breathe in and breathe out. All right. First thing first, I want to apologize for not being here on a regular, like I had been doing. I had a little bit of a concussion. Well, maybe not a little bit, maybe a little bit more, and just caused me to be really exhausted. And I just haven't been able to be doing things the way that I was. The doctor said, like, oh, you have to kind of limit your screen time. And then I started and then I wasn't. And then just difficult getting through. Um, anyway, da 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 da. Whatever. We're going to try to. I'm still dealing with it, but we're going to try to do this because Spirit has been on me for the last couple of days. Uh, and I'm not really sure what it is that they want to discuss, but it is something that is different than doing a um, reading for a particular sign. I feel like there is a message that is really for the humanity, for the collective, or whatever it is that you want to call all of you out here. um so we're going to do a message and see what we're going to see what that's all about, right? And if you've been to my channel, well, we'll go this way. So welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. This is my homemade candle in my some cup that I had hanging around, um, screen around the top, and then there's like purple in the middle. Looks more like a plum color. So I'm trying to make those as well. So we'll see. Uh, welcome back. If you've been here before, you know that I do channel messages, I do use cards, etc. And sometimes it's for this time period. Sometimes we look back at something that has already been going on and how it's leading up into today. And then sometimes Spirit will talk about what's coming up in the future. And I am not really in charge of what's going to happen. Like I do use cards, but I am a medium and I channel information. I do one-on-one readings. That information will be in the description section. Um, my email is there, and prices for readings, etc. So all that stuff is in there. So if you're looking for your own personal one-on-one reading, you do that. It can be a Zoom reading like this, only you'll be in one of the blocks here. Could be phone reading, could be Skype, whatever it is that needs to happen. If you're local, I can do one-on-one reading in person. That's okay too. Whatever's going to happen. If you like what you hear, see, like, like subscribe, like, share, tell your friends. So all of that. All right. I do like to have fun. And, you know, go on. All right. Let us see. All right. So the first information I'm getting here is that Spirit is telling me that there is a big kind of, for lack of a better expression, they're saying that there has been a big upheaval, right? And they're showing it very much like an earthquake or like the tectonic plates that come up. And I don't. Hopefully, that's not going to be literal situation. Wouldn't be the first time. Before COVID, I was getting this information about a plague coming, and COVID is, flu, whatever that is, a plague. And I was working at a place, I was working in a shop, and there were a lot of people who were coming in who happened to be nurses or nurses in training, right? Or whoever, like they were healers. And I was getting all this information about people being called into service, and I didn't know what that was meaning. Then all of a sudden, like COVID hit, and I'm like, oh, well, I guess that's what all that is. So, you know, but this feels like it is something that has already happened, right? So there has not been tectonic shifts that have already happened as far as I know of anyway. But Spirit is showing me how there has been this big kind of like upheaval. And so that could very well have been that whole like COVID thing, because they're showing me whatever this um, is something that has happened over the last couple of years. And they're telling me that whatever this is, it has basically sent people, they're using the terms like send people flying, or everybody's like scrambling around, right? And which kind of makes sense in that perspective, right? But it's like people are not really knowing what to do in their lives, because there's been a big disruption in people's lives and stuff like that. And so um but telling me that it is going to take a couple of years, like to like till 2028, for things to become more balanced, or to see what the new norm is going to be. And so I think that people are still working on getting, I want to say, getting their sea legs together, or um, I guess this means being more grounded. They're like, I'm doing this motion, and I'm like, why am I doing that? um, I don't know sign language, but if this means something in sign language, let me know. But it's this kind of like energy things, like balancing out. Um, so so there's that, right? And it's just like a lot of people changing, they're doing changing their paths and lives. There's a lot of um this kind of motion, like normally like a path goes like this, and they're showing it going like a lot of like forks in the road, right? This can be a fork, and then this will be another fork over here, this like. So I think people are going to be trying to scramble and trying to see which path fits right for them somehow. Yeah. And I think that's going to take a little bit of time to kind of sort that out. But what Spirit is saying to me is not to, is that people need to not freak out about what's happening right now. That it is better to kind of go slow. They're showing like the heart chakra, and they're saying like follow your heart. This is not going to be a mental exercise. This isn't going to be um, done by mental reasoning. And because as things are moving forward, right, it's like there's still this sort of, swaying kind of thing. So take it easy with yourself, right? And it's more about allowing yourself to heal, because they're saying that there has been um, they're saying that there has been a lot of trauma in the world, right? And even if you don't even if you don't think that you have had traumatic experiences, because it's not the trauma that they're talking about is not necessarily trauma related to, you know like uh like sexual abuse or physical abuse, or which sexual abuse is physical abuse, right? And or neglect, or whatever kind of things that could be that you would think of normally, right? um just the fact that there has been just the fact that there has been an upheaval in the world, like with this, like I'm just going to use this as an example, right? um like the whole COVID thing, right? The change that people have had to go through, right? Wearing masks, not wearing masks, getting you know like people having to get um vaccinations, or people don't want to be vaccinated, or all that kind of stuff, right? And I mean, that's just like one example, right? It's like governmental changes, or um just changes in relationships that people have been dealing with because they're telling me that there has been a lot of I don't know why my throat is so scratchy right now. People have been going through a lot of changes relationship wise. A lot of people's hearts are changing. There's because there's been a lot of awakening going on, is really what it is. So people are waking up and being like, well, who am I? What am I all about? What do I really want out of life? And there's a thing called people pleasing, right? And people pleasing is manipulation. And so people are waking up and it's like, I don't want to do this. Like, it doesn't feel right for me anymore. Maybe it was okay before, right? Like I didn't want to make any waves. And now it's like, I don't care if I'm making waves. It's like, I have to be true to myself, right? To thine own self be true. So I think there's been a lot of that that has been going on as well. Um, and so there's a lot of like character type like shifts, which cause like relationship shifts and things like that. And then people don't know how to behave anymore. And then i'm not I'm not trying to be um political. Like I don't really care one way or the other what people are doing, right? But then there's there's all of the gender identity things going on, and people don't know what to do with all of that. And just there's just a lot that has been going on. And like a lot of like waking up, and a lot of, because people are waking up and they're being like, who am I, what am I all about, and all this stuff. um you know it People going through a lot of changes, right? And I just want to say this, right? That this is a thing that I think that happens with um like transgender type people, right? So people not looking at this from a karmic perspective or from a reincarnation perspective. I've never heard anybody talk about this before, but it's something that I see going on. And I don't necessarily think that this applies. I'm not making this as a blanket statement that this applies to everybody, right? Because I have not seen every single person on the planet. I can only speak about the things that I have seen, right? So if you're in one lifetime, right, and you have spent maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, like different lifetimes as a female, and then you're born into a male body, right, physically as a male, but you're used to being female these like last like several years, right? You come into this body, you're not really going to know what to do with that. You have to get used to that identity as a male. So your spirit is used to being like female. So, but now you're in this male body, right? And it's not, what do they call it? Gender dysphoria. It's not, it's not a mental health illness. It's a spiritual adjustment. And so people are trying to claim what they were before because they're not comfortable in this body yet. And it's going to take a couple of lifetimes if they are going to like, because who knows, right? If you've been female like several lifetimes and now you're male, right? We don't know what's going to happen moving forward. You could be male over the next like 6 or 7 lifetimes because that's what it is, right? It's like we have to learn. Like the spirit has to learn about being like female, spirit has to learn about being male, and you go back and forth like this, right? And so if you're going to be like, I'm not saying you will be male for the next like several lifetimes. You could be male in this lifetime, and then next lifetime, next several lifetimes, go back to being female. But whatever it is it's going to be, right? It may take like several lifetimes to figure out how to be like comfortable being in your body as male, right? And if you've been male several lifetimes, and then you're here as female, and you're like, this doesn't feel right. It's a period of adjustment. And and I will say this because I feel like I've gone through this in my own skin. Growing up, we didn't have um well, not where I was at anyway. We didn't have like transgender. We weren't like, that wasn't a term that I was using. It was before the internet. So we didn't I was not aware. I didn't know anybody that was transgender. I didn't like, it was either gay or straight, and like I didn't really hear about like bisexual either. Right? It was just a small town, and basically just like white people. It was different when like a black person showed up on the streets, and it was like, oh, this is new, something different, right? It was like, all right, this is what we're doing now. So it was just is what it is, right? And so it's all like this thing happening, right? And so I'm 63, somewhere in my 50s. I figured out that, oh, I think that I am non-binary. I didn't know what that was. I don't know if it's gender fluid or non-binary. I don't know what it is all about. I just know that it feels like there's a pendulum inside, right? And part of it also is that I've had a lot of female guys, so that I've been dealing with a lot of like female energy being around me. So that's also a situation. So it's more of a, to me, it comes across as being of a more of a spiritual journey, right? It's not really a physical thing. It's a spiritual thing. And so you have to be comfortable in your body, in your with your spirit, right? And so that takes time for all of that to happen, right? So so there's that stuff going on, right? So there's a lot of things that are happening in the world these days. And you know, so we're saying that there has been all this sort of like trauma, and so there's all this sort of like healing that is is trying to happen, right? With this waking up, that is a healing that is taking place. So and mind you, I'm just bringing up things that spirit is wanting me to bring up, right? This is not, none of this stuff is anything that I had planned. I was sitting here minding my own business, watching a YouTube video about something and having coffee, and like, okay, we're going to do this, and showed up, and here I am, and this is what's happening. I'm not in charge. So, don't shoot the messenger, because this has got nothing to do with me. What spirit wants me to do. So we're just gonna, it's funny. Bottom of the deck is the high priestess, which I use for the goddess, right? So it's like spirit, like it's like just the acknowledgement that that's what that is. And okay, let's see what we're gonna say, right? Let's see what spirit wants to talk about. What's gonna happen? Show me. Show me what the message is for the collective. I don't know where Uranus is in people's chart. Maybe it's a Mars situation, but they're saying there's going to be a big shock, a big surprise coming, probably around like March time period. And shock, awe, surprise, whatever. That's a Uranus situation. Although the Tower card, which is usually ruled by Mars. It's got the lightning. That's a Mars symbol. But that card is, the tower is a tearing down in order to rebuild. It's a major reorganization. It can be a shock to the system, right? And sometimes that card has been showing up as being like Uranus for some reason. I don't know why it's been showing up as having that sort of energy. So, sorry, something fell. Back in the day when I started, they used to say what falls to the floor comes knocking at the door. First card, like relationships, Two of Cups, Ace of Pentacles, which is physical things, the Chariot, moving forward. What else? That's a weird situation right there. All right, what else? Money, finances, financial security. It's the Pisces card. Limitations and restrictions. The Strength card, which is what we're talking about basically. Capricorn, worry, Goldstream's aspirations. Death card, which is card's ruled by Mars. It's card's ruled by Capricorn. We also have the sun, the moon up there, the moon down here. This is like the chariot card is ruled by the sign of Cancer, which is the moon. And then we have the moon, which is ruled by Pisces. It's a weird thing. And this is a Pluto-based card. Hangman. Energy trying to come in around here. Okay, so when we're looking at this, the card that shows up in the middle, this is the heart of the matter, basically, and it is about strength. It's about people's inner strength, and this is basically what it is that we're talking about, right? In terms of people waking up, right? And because it's your inner strength that's happening, right? People have had this sort of duality thing going on over here, right? Which has been like, it's like kind of letting go of one thing and moving on to another, right? And especially around relationship things, Two of Cups is about love, right? And people's goals, dreams, aspirations. um, we also have the Death card here, which is about doors closing, new doors opening. When I see aces, Ace of Pentacles, Ace of Cups, Ace of Swords, those things, a lot of times it shows up as being related to the next of that sign, right? The next earth sign, next air sign, right? And but I think this is something that can be going on like now as well, because we are in Capricorn, which is an earth sign. But I think that this is talking about how currently there are these like limitations and restrictions in this Capricorn time period, right? But this is doors closing, new doors opening, right? So there's a lot of relationship things that are happening around here. And but this is a kind that's based in love, right? And so Two of Cups uh technically it's about like boyfriend, girlfriend, 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 boyfriend, boyfriend type relationships, right? But a lot of times when the Two of Cups comes up, for me it can be about like relationships in general. It's like how you're relating with people, right? And so there can be a lot of like letting go of how you're interacting with one relationship and moving on to dealing with relationships in a different way, because the goals, dreams, and aspirations around the relationships are changing, right? Because there is this like death and rebirth of things. And like, the devil card is connected to addiction, right? But it's really like this thing that has to do with limitations and restrictions. So a lot of times when I see the Two of Wands, right, it's a card that shows up as angst, right? Because in another deck that I used, it's called Dominion, one person trying to rule over another person, right? And but it's an equal armed cross, right? Is what it is. So in a lot of ways, I see it as angst that sits on the inside of a person because they have these limitations and restrictions that sit inside of them, and then their inner strength is causing that to wake up, right? And then we have the Chariot card, which is in the headspace. This is what's happening. This is the heart of the matter. This is the headspace. This is the subconscious area. These are the past. These are the future, right? So that's the way this spread works. So people's intuition, the moon card, your intuition, people's intuition is it's waking up, right? People are becoming more spiritual, right? And more intuitive, right? And the Chariot card is here. And then Chariot card, when you look at it, right, it's like this guy, he's leaving everything behind, right? This guy's ruled by sign of Cancer, which is another kind about emotions, right? So emotions are coming to the forefront of whatever it is that's going on in our lives these days. We are trying to be grounded, right? Which is the Queen of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles is Capricorn time period, right? And it's showing up here interesting because the Hangman card is here. The Hangman card talks about changing your perspective around things, right? It is about like things being suspended, right? So like, things have been on hold, right? But I think in this time period right now, in Capricorn time period, and these pentacles that are sitting here. So Capricorn is about being practical, right? This guy's ruled by Capricorn. This guy's also ruled by Capricorn. So there's a lot of like Saturnian sort of energy, right? Saturn is a planet about like discipline, structure, things like that, right? It's about it rules like older age time period. I forget the age, but it's like older time period, like maybe 50s, 60s, like something like that. And but we do have the Ten of Pentacles sitting up there, which is a card that can be connected to real estate, financial security, stuff like that, right? But it's a card that has to do with inheritance, therefore, about legacy, right? A lot of times when it shows up, it is about how people are making their mark on the world, right? And also things that are connected to generations, right? Because see the couple in the middle, the old man over here, right? Dogs represent loyalty. It's raining pentacles, right? And there's also the child over there, right? So this is something that is like generational sort of security, right? And things having been practical around those things, right? And so now there's a reversal, right? Subconsciously, there is this like reversal of things that are going on here, right? Five of Cups, Five of Pentacles, rather. This is a walking away from things. Fives are chaos. So there's a change in direction kind of thing happening here, right? Five of Pentacles is a card that is like worry, right? Usually it's worry about money and finances, but this is worry about pages are like communication. They're about new things trying to happen here, right? And we have the Knight, which is also Gemini. So it's interesting because this guy's related to the sign of Pisces, and Pisces is where the North Node is at, or it's heading that direction very soon, right? So that's going to be where things are headed, right? So there's worry about where things are headed and the legacy that has gone on, right? And all the stuff that has been trying to be put into place for financial security. And so now things are going to change, right? And people are feeling the change because it's intuition is trying to happen around here, right? And the Knight of Swords is ruled by Gemini, right? But this is a card. It says there's a lot of energy that coming in. There's a lot of information that is coming in, right? So a lot of mental energy trying to come in. So it's stuff that can be related to telepathy. It can be, all the stuff coming in on the internet kind of thing, right? That is Gemini. That's Gemini energy, internet. So, but this talks about changing our perspective around the influx of information coming in, right? Be grounded, trust your instincts as you're moving forward here, and allow this rebirth to happen, right? Because we do have this like death, the devil card over here, right? Which are limitations and restrictions, but it's also related to addiction. So it's telling you not to kind of power through things, right? Because that's not really going to work. right? There is going to be a change in people's um, goals, dreams, and aspirations, right? The star card is sitting over here, people letting go of one thing, moving on to another, kind of exploring their realms. Two of Wands is a card, right, where it shows this guy sitting on top of his like castle up here, up on the parapet. What do they call that? Um, so the guy's sitting up there, right? He's looking out over his realm, right? And he's going, he wants to explore the world, right? So this is a card that can come up connected to international travel. So there is a lot of that is going on around here as well, right? And because we do have this other card over here, right? Chariot card is about travel, but it's more related to how people are moving in their lives, right? It's all about leaving things behind, right? Especially if you're looking at how you are leaving behind, like the ways that you're making money, right? Because of the financial security and stuff like that, right? There can be changes in these themes going on, right? And paying attention more to how people are feeling as opposed to just like the whole like um, financial grasp, right? So whatever it is that um, whatever it is that money is representing can be going through a change, right? Could be like the dollar, the yen, the whatever, right? Like that can be going through a change, can be going through an influx, right? I don't know that this is going to be about going towards like Bitcoin. That's what I'm hearing in my head, right? Like how people are making money or what people are working for, because that's really what it is. It's like, what are you working for? Are you working for your money? Are you working for how you're making your um are you working to make your mark on the world? Are you um working in order to be fed like emotionally, right? Like what are you working for, right? There's a lot of that stuff that is trying to change, right? So a lot of people like to point out that a lot of people like to point out that this card, right, it is worry about money and finances, right? Some people call it the dark night of the soul, but some people like to point out that there is an anchor in this window. Some people like to point out that this is a church, so there is help available, right? And it's interesting to have the bottom of the deck. I didn't even notice this, right? The Wheel of Fortune, right? Which is the fates, right? And that's kind of like what it is that we're talking about here, I guess, right? Um, it's been a topic going on in my mind anyway, right? The nodes of fate, right? Because the north node, the south node, they're changing signs. So this is about unexpected things happening. It's about getting off the merry-go-round, about getting unstuck, right? And you know, things go up, things go down, things go up, things go down, right? And so, and you can see they're all reading books, right? So there is going to be this change in information, right? And these are also cardinal signs. I believe they're called cardinal, but they are what they are. So, but it's telling you that there is going to be this big, massive change that is happening here, right? Fate, karma. This is a big card that I use for karma, right? So relationships, a lot of stress around relationships, right? And the Ten of Swords is a card that is about, it is a card that's about an ending, right? And it can be a stressful ending. When I see the Ten of Swords, it's usually about like mental, emotional stress made physical, right? So it's about, I usually see it as like getting out of a situation because of your health, right? So, but it's an ending, but it's also a blessing in disguise, whatever the ending is about, right? So there are these endings around relationships that are happening, right? And it's not necessarily a negative, right? And stress about like things from the past, which is what we're talking about, right? And moving forward here, right? Looking at new beginnings, we have 2 pages here. So there are new beginnings that are happening here on a financial level, also on an emotional level, right? And there's a tower card that we talked about. Um, and then Ace of Wands. So again, new beginnings, entrepreneurial based things, right? People being independent in a lot of ways. And it is because there's all this stress because the past is going through all the stuff that is going through the past, right? And people looking at things differently, behaving differently, right? Like the tower card is a tearing down in order to rebuild. It's a major reorganization, right? And like I said, this is a Mars-based card, right? And Mars is a planet that like snips, cuts, whatever. It's all of that. And so it's because the structure has not been, it's not being supported anymore, right? So the structure has to change, right? So, so there is that, right? Two of Wands, going out into the world, right? Planting seeds for your future, looking at your money, finances, things like that. This is Taurus time period, which is Venus, right? Capricorn, like limitations and restrictions, also like related to emotional things, right? So in like Pisces, um, like water sign based cards, right? A lot of water information, right? People have been limiting themselves emotionally, the strength, right? It's telling you to stop fighting, right? Stop fighting what it is that's happening inside of you, right? Stability. It's like the home, right? People worrying about their sense of power, right? The star card, goals, dreams, aspirations. The lovers card, which is not necessarily, um, it's interesting. The lovers card is not necessarily related to relationships. It is, I use it for its Gemini energy, right? So again, Mercury based card, but I use it as kind of being this quandary, this relationship with the inside and the outside, right? Doors closing, new door, like doors closing, new doors opening. Again, like you have the Five of Pentacles over here, you have the Eight of Cups over here, right? Both cards are showing this sort of like walking away from things. The Moon card, trusting your instincts as a High Priestess again, right? We already explained that. And the Hangman card, victimhood, right? But changing your perspective. Again, the Ace of Cups, about like trusting your instincts, right? How are you getting fed emotionally, right? Paying attention to your own emotions, what's happening with us, right? All this information coming in over here, right? And there's going to be new ideas coming up. So, again, in the heart of the reading, right? We have the Five of Swords, which is a card that says like defeat, right? But it's really like a fear of defeat. It's not really like, I mean, it's a change, right? But it's a change in the mindset. And so it's all this stuff coming up inside, right? The strength card underneath is internal strength, right? So it's like these things coming up from inside of us and be like, oh, like what's that all about, right? We're not used to having this thing come up. We're not used to our emotions showing up in the way that they're showing up with the strength that they're showing up, right? And it's like, oh my God, like I feel so overwhelmed about things. What's happening, right? So there's this like fear of defeat, right? Because people don't know what to do with it, right? And so this telling you to like kind of slow down is what we're being told here, right? That the spirit is helping us, right? Our subconscious is helping us, right? We are becoming more psychic, we're becoming more intuitive, right? And we're heading more in this direction, right? There's this balance that is trying to happen here, right? The Lover's card is this like male and female energy, right? This is Gabriel up the top, right? So there is really this balance of the male and the female energy coming together and operating in harmony. That's what this is about, right? Everybody has male and female energy within them, right? It just is the way it is, right? That's nature. Everything is male or female, and everybody has a male side and a female side, right? That's why you hear men talk about like, oh, I'm in touch with my feminine side, right? And you have these women who are very intense, right? And like masculine, right? They're aggressive, right? It doesn't mean that the woman is a lesbian. It just means that she's very aggressive in nature. She knows what she wants. She's going after it. Men are intimidated by that. It's like too bad. Right? The hips in the body, right? The hips are the balance of the male and female energy. Sometimes you see people that are bisexual and they have trouble with their hips, right? Or people have trouble with their hips, right? The right side is the right side is the male side, the left side is a female side. So like I've been having trouble with my left side. That's like trouble with the intuition and the feminine side and female energy. Like the left side is where energy comes in, the right side is where energy comes out. So there's all this like intuition, there's all this kind of feminine energy coming in, right? And it's been really like affecting me, but it's because I'm an empath, right? And I've had all of this like all this emotional energy trying to come in. I'm trying to manage it, trying to balance it, right? All this stuff, and and it's taking its toll. That's all there is to it, right? And so we'll see what's going to happen with any of that. So, but yeah, so there is going to be stability coming, right? Four of Wands is a card that I use for a change in home, right? But it's about like the Queen of Pentacles here is about being practical, right? Being grounded, right? And a lot of changes happening here also over the course of the next like 4 months, right? So we're in January, so February, March, April, May, which will put us into like um, May is Taurus, this, right? Taurus going in a Gemini time period, right? This is Gemini, like we said, right? Gemini is sitting over here as well. So in and around that time period, there can be more balance going on around here, right? But there's a whole restructuring of things happening around here emotionally, right? And some people will say, well, is your life falling apart or is it falling together, right? So Shade is just wanting us to go with the flow, right? And people get messed up by that statement. Going with the flow does not mean going along with the masses, right? That's not what that means. Some people would like it to be that, right? People who want to control everything would like it to be that, but that's not really what it is. Going with the flow is like going with who you are, right? Where are you being led in your own river, right? Because everybody's following their own stream, right? Not everybody's in the same stream. So it's up to you to go with your own flow, go where your tide is taking you to, go where your intuition is taking you to, right? And don't be worried about it, right? Don't be afraid of the defeat, right? Don't be afraid of the battle. Like it's like stop fighting, right? There is only pain when there is resistance, right? That's that's how you like an ohm meter, right? That's how people test voltage is by the resistance. We're not going to go into electronics discussion right now. I'll like go off on a whole tangent. And my ADHD brain will be there for it. So, you know, so that's really what this is. This change has been going on for a while now, right? I feel like this is like, I feel like there has been this big change that has been going on, like, like the past like 3 years has been like this sort of, I don't know what happened 3 years ago, like astrologically or because I just came into this reading. I didn't go looking at like astrology. I didn't go looking where planets were 3 years ago, what happened 3 years ago. I just know what I'm being shown is that there was this big kind of um, like a bomb dropped or something like that, right? It's like oh, like newsflash, whatever, right? The reality hit something. I don't know what, I don't know if there was a big kind of astrological event that happened 3 years ago, but whatever it is, there was this big shift that happened, is what I'm being shown. And so um it feels like it changed everything. So because it feels like an atom bomb was dropped on the world, and because it's something that whatever the event is that happened, it was a big thing, but it has these ripple effects, right? The way when you see the bomb drop and then like all the clouds go out, right? It's something that creates like a ripple effect. So there's this big event that happened about 3 years ago, and it's weird because it may have happened 2 years ago, but it may have had like this like backwards effect going back like a year. So if you're an empath, and I was telling some of this before, right? If you're an empath, which I am, as an empath, we can feel things. We feel things across time. The stronger you are empathically, the more you feel. So I can feel the change that is coming in the future, and I can start taking action now in order to prepare for it to go on. So there may have been an event that happened 2 years ago, and it creates this ripple effect, and people feel it a year in advance. And it starts like causing them to kind of fall in line and move forward in time. That's how I operate in the world. And my first Saturn return happens at 28. So we're around like 28, right? Takes Saturn 28 years to go around your chart. So when Saturn happens there right at 28, I started feeling that a year and a half in advance. And I started making shifts in my life for when that was coming. So then when the Saturn return actually happened, when the event actually happened, I was already in that mode, right? And I already had my second Saturn return, and that was happening the same time, only I'm more psychic at the second Saturn return. So instead of 1 year, I was trying to make changes 2 years in advance. So this is like something that is like been trying to make these big changes over the past, like, we'll say anywhere, maybe like the last like 4 years, depending upon how psychic you are, what you're doing, how open you are to all of that, and you know all that stuff. And you could be going through changes that are, um, you could be being affected by the changes that are coming and not know that you're being affected by those changes that are coming down the road. Right? Like if you don't know that you're psychic and or you're feeling these like impulses to make these changes and not really knowing what those impulses are, right? Because you're not in tune with yourself being psychic like that. We don't know. We just know that, oh, I feel like I got to do this thing. So, okay, let's do this thing. And we don't know that it's because of something that is coming down the road. So I'm just saying that that is a real thing. So anyway, I think that's what we're going to talk about for today. Um, because I have an appointment that's coming in about 15 minutes and I have to prepare for my appointment. So anyway, if you like what you hear, click like, subscribe, and share. And we'll see what's going to go on. Right. So thank you for showing up today. And I'll try to go back into the regularly scheduled program. I'm having to do like Libra and then Scorpio and the rest of them. So I'm gonna try to get to it as soon as I can. Right. Thanks for being here.